Welcome to the Power of Local podcast, where we discuss all things local business, and we are always vocal for local. Hi, I'm Rebecca Melanson, and I am the co-founder of the Local Business Institute, along with my partner, Vicki Valdez. Hi, Vicki. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well today. Excited
Good,
to be here.
good. Well, we were recently talking about the power of local and what exactly that means and why is it important and why did we call this show the Power of Local podcast. uh Vicki, you want to share your thoughts on that to start with?
Well, yes, when you think about the power of local, a lot of different things come to mind. But when you look at local businesses and you think of what are they and what they mean to the community, they're like the heart of the community. And why do they matter? Well, that's because they shape the fabric of the community. And oh, I've got a lot that I could visit with you about that subject.
That's so true because it's our local businesses that keep any town, any city, any community from looking like anywhere USA, right? And when we travel, one of the things we love to do is go explore new places. Well, what if you go explore new places and they all look like the home place? That's not as exciting. But while we might go for scenery, we might go for activities, those local businesses are what make it special. They're the part of
They
the
really do.
discovery of that local community that's so special and that we enjoy. It's the places where we gather, the places where we have fun, the places where we find cool things. All of that stuff is at local businesses, both in your community and everybody's community. Yay, local business. And that's part of the power of local. I love it. I love it. What else do you think is important in terms
Well,
of?
whenever you were just talking about not making it just anywhere USA, local businesses make it special. When you think about even tacos, I know I talk about tacos quite a bit. You hear me talk about tacos and my favorite tacos and whatnot. But depending upon where you go, there's different types of tacos, different flavors that have been handed down generation by generation in the recipes that people cook, and it just spice here, spice there, and you wouldn't have that kind of variety if you didn't have the different types of local businesses in different parts of our country. And that's what makes them unique. And actually, whenever we go visit, I'm not going to make this all about food today, but whenever we go visit different areas, that's one of the first things that I'm looking for is I'm looking for where are the clusters of
Right.
local businesses? Where are they together? Because that's where you find the real uniqueness of community. Coffee shops. It could be local, because coffee shops, when you go into a coffee shop sometimes in a local, like a local kind of cluster of community, of businesses rather in community, you'll sometimes see local art
Oh,
from
absolutely.
either
Yeah.
people in this, that are in school there or local artists that they're trying to promote. So it's more than just different flavors of tacos. They really have they really define the community as far as I can tell.
I don't know. I think maybe different flavors of tacos should define the community. I read a study, I guess it was about a year ago, that said nationwide that Taco Bell had the best tacos. And it made me just
What?
absolutely weep, right? And then I thought, what is wrong with people? And then I thought, you know what? For a lot of people, that's all they have. They've never tasted like real tacos, and they've never experienced like that variety of flavors in tacos, and they're stuck with just Taco Bell. Sorry, Taco Bell, but you are a big chain that has no flavor. And it is those. I think maybe we need to do a national tour of tacos. Let's do the taco tour.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Go to taquerias all over the country. We went to a different coffee house every morning one time in Austin, right after the pandemic let up. And I wrote on Facebook a little review about the coffee, the pastries, the vibe of the place, who
Did
was
you? Oh my.
on the walls, and I took pictures. And I was doing it just for fun. But as it turned out, I got quite a following, and it was amazing how different they all felt, right? I mean, not to disparage Taco Bell too badly, but I'm going to disparage it a little. You walk into a Taco Bell, you have no idea where you are because they're all the same.
They're
You
all the same, yes.
Taco Bell on the moon.
No, but coffee shops, I mean, sometimes you walk in and they have their own signature kind of milk, like creamer, if you
Oh,
will, for the
yeah,
coffee.
yeah.
And it's all flavored from the area. And then they've got, I mean, I know sometimes when I walk into a coffee shop, I'm looking at the menu and I'm like, wow, what is that? I would have never thought about it. Of course, I'm not the establishment. I mean, I'm not the small local business coffee shop, but they come up with some unique stuff, Rebecca. Our entrepreneurs are very, very innovative when it comes to what they offer in their local shops.
And that's just one example of, take your own tour. I'm gonna challenge everybody who hears this to pick a food and go on your own tour, even in your own town or city, and explore all those differences. Of course, it has to be locally owned, but the
Correct.
varieties and the flavors, I don't care if it's tacos or pizza or coffee or whatever it is, shoes. I mean, maybe something a little bit more personalized than shoes, but whatever it is, go check it out and you'll start to see what entrepreneurs really do and do extremely well. And
Yeah.
those are what
Hmm.
make all of your local businesses, make your community such a special place. And I know we probably have people out there kind of rolling their eyes. It's like, oh, there's those two women, waxing and waning about the beauty of small business. And it's true. I get kind of sappy about small business, but for good reason,
We
right?
do.
It's makes the
Well,
world
Rebecca, it makes the world go round, but also they're not just in the neighborhood. They actually help, identify what is the neighborhood. They are the neighborhood. And, they give back and they do a whole bunch of stuff in their community. But yes, they are very unique and they're innovative. And I do like that challenge. So we're not going to choose for those that are listening to us today as to which type of food or coffee shop or whatever it may be, but we are going to throw out the challenge. I think that's a great idea.
go take your favorite thing, and it could be a bar. I mean, whatever it is, just go take your favorite thing and check out all the locals around you and see the neighborhoods they're in. And they even reflect not just your city or town, but the neighborhood that they're in. And that's such a beautiful thing. But, I think you brought up another interesting point, is that our local businesses not only reflect our culture and our communities, but they help create that culture and communities because they are as much a resident, a member, a citizen as anybody else is. And they reflect that back to us. They reflect back, oh, this is such a cool place because it's a local business. And that to me is a major, major role that local business plays in any community.
There, also, Rebecca, I know a couple of local businesses in different parts of the country, different parts of the U.S. that actually there's some small business owners, local business owners that actually, if you want to know what's going on in your community in your city, that's where you go to find out. I can think of one in particular that was in the area that I live in, that was downtown. And if you wanted to know what was going on from a city point of view, and you wanted to see the elected officials and where they were talking and who they were meeting with, that was a one little local shop that you would go to. And it was
Yeah.
away from all the big stuff, but it was that small little local business. And that was the power that we're talking about that these local businesses have in framing their environment,
It
their
really
community.
is. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a small neighborhood business and our local senator walks in and just says, "Hi,
Funny.
how are you doing?" And he's not there to shake everybody's hand, although he does. He's there to get tacos. He's
He's
there.
there to get tacos. Exactly right.
Exactly.
We're back to tacos.
Tacos seem to be a theme, and maybe they should be. Everybody likes tacos, I hope. There's another aspect of what we're talking about, just one more. And I think it's that in a small business, not only it's not a transaction, it's a relationship. because remember, it's all H to H, human to human.
So true.
But I've always loved how small businesses will not hesitate to pitch in and help each other. I know of times when one bakery's ovens go out and another bakery will say, hey, you can come over here between these hours and bake your pastries in our ovens. And just that helpfulness and support of one another, yeah, they're all in competition to a certain point, but I love it that it's small business. What overrides that competitiveness is community.
Absolutely. And we've seen it time and time again whenever there's been a catastrophe or something where
Oh,
there was
yeah.
a fire somewhere. When I've seen it here locally, where there was a fire at one business, a small local business, where everybody's just rallied around, and not because they were asked. This was because it's the H to H. There was a relationship there. They knew how important they were to the community, and everybody rallied around to get them back on their feet and get them going
You know what? Because they care
because they care.
and they didn't have to be asked. They were
No.
there. They were there
Mhm.
because they care. Oh my gosh.
Rebecca, you know what else comes to mind? The beginning of every school year. I mean, you talk power of local. The local businesses are the ones that actually do these drives sometimes for the backpacks for
Right.
kids with school, and they do the call out for, hey, we need pencils, we need this, or they put the list out. The coffee shop does, the cleaners does, in a certain neighborhood. And I
Mhm.
know I see that in our neighborhood. And next thing you know, there's a box out front, and every one of those small businesses, local businesses, people put their stuff in. Next thing you know, you've got like 300 backpacks that they then put together on behalf of the neighborhood, helping the local elementary school. I'm thinking of elementary school. It's an example I have in my mind. And
Because
it's
it's
beautiful.
community too. That just makes all the difference. So these local businesses in every community across the country support you, support your community, support the neighborhoods, make sure you support them. And
Absolutely.
that, all of that, and so much more is why we call this podcast the Power of Local Podcast, because to us, local is incredibly powerful on so many levels. And that just about wraps it up for today. But don't forget, we are always, always, always vocal for local and want you to be too. So we'll see you next time. Thanks, Vicki. Great discussion. Thank you for joining us today for the Power of Local podcast, where we encourage you to always be vocal for local. See you next time.